Greetings Internet, DDA here, and we are back again with the closeout for this week of our first look deck profiles. This time we have a old leader that we are updating with the set. We discussed Mon Mothma last time in the last video. That means, of course, next week we'll be starting with a brand new leader using all of the knowledge that we've gained over the weekend from our pre-releases. Already, I've begun adjusting my decks based on my experience playing in the pre-releases and actually using the cards. I updated this list, and you know what? Mace just refuses to die. He refuses to be thrown out of a window and electrocuted and have that be the end of his story. And we can see that here with this deck. Mace got several new cards in the new Secrets of Power set that are raising this deck up. Mace Windu was always one of those leaders that sat in this weird spot of tier 2. It definitely was tier 2 when I played it and when I had top cut it at Richmond. I think it also got maybe 1 or 2 wins over in Europe. Blue version, I was always an advocate of the red version because I'm more of an aggressive player. Personally, I like pushing in aggression. You know, Mace is a very control-y personality. His power promotes control. His flip promotes control. He's a big leader, so you're going to want to slow down the game a little bit. So, again, pushing you more towards the later stages of the game, more towards a control strategy. But when you take Mace and you add him in to double red, you get a more aggressive version of that playstyle versus, say, doing him in maybe yellow or blue that would be a little bit slower. Now, you can see this list is actually stuffed with new cards. There are so many cards that this deck got in the new set, and I actually think it may be almost tier 1. Mace was really close to being tier 1 in previous sets. He kind of fell out of flavor for me because of all the 2/4s that existed in the meta. You know, there were a lot of 2/4s, a lot of 5 deployed leaders that had 7 HP, like Talzin and Quinlan were dominating the meta. And it was very difficult for Mace Windu. He didn't really have a good answer to the 7 HP leaders or all of the yellow in the meta with the 3/5s. Well, that's not true anymore. We have the new card Charged with Treason that is going to give Mace Windu an ability to take out 7 HP deploy on 5 leaders with just 5 resource. That's right. You pay 4 for 5 damage, activate Mace power, and get that extra 2 damage ping for 7 damage. The ability for us to do this to any target is massive. Before, I was like splashing in force chokes, and I was doing super weird things in order to just be able to take out late game units with the Mace Windu deck. Now, we don't need to do that. We actually have a card that can let us stand up to the mid and late game units with double red. Thank you, FFG. Of course, I've talked in previous videos, and I do want to mention briefly, being that this is a first look deck profile, but I come with a lot of Mace experience. I wanted to mention the 3 cards, the 3 reasons why you would want to play Mace Windu in red and in double red in general, and that is Daring Raid, Open Fire, and Aggression. All 3 of these cards open up combos for Mace and like play lines for Mace that allow you to navigate matches in a way that's a little bit different than any other leader. In Daring Raid's case, it lets you do the turn 1 3 damage to any unit in the game. So any 3/3 or any 2/3 that exists in the game currently, you can take that out turn 1 with the Daring Raid. Likewise, with Open Fire and Aggression, these are cards that let you access to that 6 damage very cheaply. In Open Fire's case, it's 6 damage for 4, and in Aggression's case, it's 6 damage for 5, but you get another ability. These cards have been Mace's bread and butter for a long time, and adding Charged with Treason to that list of bread and butter cards for Mace is something that he was missing and needed. Another big addition that Mace got in the new set is the addition of the Chopper unit on turn 1. Chopper is a rebel, so it fits nicely into the rebel package that Mace was kind of playing already. A little bit different than how the aggressive decks are playing Chopper. There's a little bit of kind of tug of war here with the 2 strategies that we have going on with Mace, with Chopper, and I really theory crafted this for a long time and asked myself, like, should I play Chopper? Because when you talk about having a 7 deploy leader, discarding cards from your hand can be very detrimental. It can basically be game losing at that point. You know, you're waiting until turn 6 to deploy, and if you're discarding cards from your hand, that can be really bad for you. You may not have any cards by the time you get to your deploy. But the key here with Chopper, and the key here with any deck that is more control-y or pushes more of a board control strategy that you have to see, and I often say this to my local players, is sometimes you have to look at units as, you know, 2 costs for 4 damage, and that's what Chopper is. Chopper is an event, quote-unquote, that does 4 damage for 2 costs. That's what he is in Mace Windu. And 4 damage is very special for Mace. I've talked about it in several Mace videos previously, but 4 damage is the Mace Windu damage threshold. That is the most important window for Mace. It gives you access to the 6 damage, so that means having this 4 damage, even on defense, with the Chopper unit is massive. It lets Chopper be able to punch up and take out pretty much any mid-game and some end-game units as well. So Chopper's really not going to be hitting the base. He's going to be controlling the field, actually, interestingly enough. And he almost didn't make my cut, and the reason he made the cut is because of the Mace Windu damage threshold, the 4 damage, being able to control units. So he can be your turn 1 play. You maybe don't want to play him turn 1 because maybe you want to wait until the mid-game to start punching people with that 4 damage and taking them out with Mace Ping. However, in matchups that are very control-y and you're maybe facing a hard control or a deck that has even better late game than you do, well then maybe you do want to use that discard and go a full discard strategy, and having that option between playing board control and discarding cards from your opponent's hand is why Chopper got the include. The next card I want to talk about is Let's Call It War. This card has gone up for me. Originally, I had it in the list, and then I actually added more into the list after playing in my pre-release and seeing how powerful it is. Traditionally, Mace had an issue with getting the damage on the units. That's the problem with Mace, right? They need to be damaged in order for you to use your abilities. So having a plethora of cards that give you the ability to damage undamaged units is very important for Mace. And what better than to be able to use Let's Call It War, kill something, and then set a second unit up for a kill maybe later in that combat or next turn. Let's Call It War is actually a premium. It's 3 costs for 5 damage. That is huge. If you just compare it to Grenade Strike is 3 damage for 2 costs. You're paying 1 more for 2 more damage. That is excellent. Grenade Strike was always on kind of the chopping block for me. We needed a card like Grenade Strike because it fit well in Mace's strategy, but it was just so low damage, and Mace had this problem where, you know, it couldn't kill things in one action, so you're just taking so much damage that you ended up losing the game. Even though you were killing everything, they would get their swings in, get the damage in, and you would end up getting to 30 HP before you realize, which is why I added things like Smuggler's Aid and all that in here. But I don't think we need that much of a focus on, say, the Smuggler's Aid and things like that in the current version, because we can actually burst damage, and we have a new card that's going to prevent us from taking damage. And that is the Ando Commission card. Now, I know what you're saying, DDA. What is this gray, neutral common doing in your meta Mace Windu deck? Well, simply put, red does not have sentinels. There are no sentinels in red. If red had sentinels, I would put more sentinels in this deck because they fit perfectly in Mace's strategy. What's the best way to damage undamaged units? Forcing your opponent to attack your units. Okay, but we're double red. We don't have sentinel options, and all the options that we had previously were like 5 and 6 cost. Well past the point in which it would matter against an aggro deck or a deck that was pushing in against you. So that's the first reason. This is a 4-cost Sentinel that you can include in your deck that's actually going to slow down the game for you and save you damage and allow you to just destroy everything on the field. That's the first reason. The second reason, what did I just say about Chopper? the Mace Windu damage threshold. This thing has 4 power. It is perfect. It is a perfect card for Mace Windu. I know it's a gray neutral card, but it's literally perfect. I have such high expectations for this card. The card is already good in limited, right? I'm already, I played 5 limited games last night, and I kept playing this card against my opponents, and my opponents go, oh, wow, that card's really good. I didn't even realize that gray card was so good. Yeah, it is good. This card is strong. 4/3 for 4 Sentinel, giving Sentinel access to literally every deck in the game. And this is a big one. This is a big deck that is going to make use of this Ando Commission. 4 damage, Mace Windu damage threshold. You're going to get that extra damage ping with the Ando Commission. It's just so strong, and I can't overstate it. It's perfect in the deck. Another card that's perfect in the deck is the Strike Force X-Wing. I talked about how it's important for us to be able to damage undamaged units. Well, as our first action, what we can do is we can either play this from hand to damage them and then do some other tricks on the field in order to take advantage of that, or and FFG did such a good job of giving Mace everything that he needed that he was missing. One of the things that he was really missing was, you have this ridiculous flip that can just clear the entire board, but sometimes you were off by like a damage or 2, or sometimes 1 unit wouldn't be damaged and you couldn't kill it. Well, the Strike Force X-Wing is going to come in for you, being a plot mechanic, and you can actually order your when deployed ability after the plot. You could do either or, too. So if some shenanigans would happen where you would kill something and they get something ready, you could kill it with the Strike Force after the when deployed. But that's neither here nor there. That's complicated and probably won't happen. But the big point is that you can order the plot first before the when deployed ability. So that means if something is 1 or 2 damage off from dying to your mace, if something is undamaged and you want 4 damage on it, you plot that Strike Force on deploy and you take them out. It's just going to be such a perfect card in Mace Windu, I can't overstate it. Mace Windu Double Red is actually pretty strong against control decks, and the reason it's strong against control decks is because it pushes a strong discard strategy, pushes into the opponent while not giving the opponent a leg up on the field, and having a stronger deploy than most control decks. And that is highlighted in the new Luthen's Hallcraft. This card is a powerhouse. I have 1 copy in the main, 2 copies in the side, potentially going to go up on this to be honest. This card is good enough to play 2 or 3 of it main. I may end up going to 2 or 3 of it main because it is so strong. It's basically a hypercharged version of that Saboteur ship that discarded, I can't remember the name of it. This card is so much better, though. The reason it's so much better is because it is a rebel, so you can Fleet Lieutenant it, huge for our combos and damage, and also it's 2 cards. It is so easy for you to disclose double red in this deck. You're a double red deck, everything in your hand is going to be red. So it's very easy for you to do, get that double discard, and push in 7 damage with Fleet Lieutenant. I did add a single copy of the remote escort tank in here again, for the same reason. So, if your opponent is able to get big units out on you and you can maybe kill 1 or 2 of their little smaller units with your flip, but then they have a big guy left and you really need that Sentinel, well, that Sentinel is there for you to come out on your flip turn to protect you, to allow you to push in the damage that you need to seal the game. So very significant there. Again, we got like 2 really strong Sentinels in this deck that's going to let us slow down the game and play the game on our terms. Of course, we got all the double red goodness still in there. The Wild Rancors, the Unlimited Powers. These are powerhouse cards that take over the entire field. But another card that we got in the new set, so many new set cards in this deck. Like, this deck got lifted up so much by the new set. Alexander Callis, just such a powerhouse in here. He's going to do 2 strong things for you. He's going to come out on your flip turn. So if, like, let's say you don't find the unlimited power, or you just want to develop your board in general, like you're kind of like the unlimited power is there for you to be kind of that sweeping card versus like a more aggressive deck if you're facing against a more aggressive deck and you really just need to kill everything and get a like breathing room. That's what unlimited power is for. If you're going into your deploy a little bit safer, with a little bit higher HP, you're a little bit more comfortable, and you want to push and develop your board, that's what Alexander Callis is for. Very, very strong, going to give you that 2 damage on ground units, setting up your deploy, but also put strong power on the board in the form of a rebel that you can rebel assault for 10. Fleet Lieutenant for 10. And then as well, it's going to give you the extra 2 damage on Mace Windu as well. And of course, we still are playing all the late game goodness, the Crate Dragons, the Mace Windu as well to help us push in. This deck is strong, guys. Like, I think all of the knowledge that I learned about Mace Windu from the last set, I tried to make him into a Force deck. It really didn't work, mostly because the mono red, like losing blue in Force is very rough. It's very hard to build a Force deck and a deck that utilizes the Force without blue. And I talked in previous videos how I felt like blue was a little bit counterintuitive to Mace. It's kind of like you had these competing effects. So that it just didn't fit my playstyle. And maybe there's a blue Mace deck out there, Force deck. Maybe you'll see it on a DDA deck lab in a few weeks. But this version of the deck, the one that I've been working on for months and months now, I'm really excited. It's actually going to be one of the first decks that I build. I think it's extremely strong. So next week, we have so many first look deck profiles videos coming. We have new leaders. We're going to start with a new leader. We are starting out with Dryden Voss. You all should be excited for this guy. Not only is he a powerhouse now, but he's going to be a monster once rotation happens. We have all the first look deck profile videos coming. All of the DDA deck labs coming. We have likely a limited guide that I will create for this set as I'm learning. I went 5-0 undefeated in my first limited. So I'm already like picking up the cards, knowing what is good and what is bad. And we're going to take all that knowledge and put it in all these videos for you. So if you like this video, please hit that like button. Hit subscribe for all the best deck profile videos and gaming guides related to Star Wars Unlimited. And as always, turn your dial to Random Number Gaming.